Hi everybody, John Curtin here from QVScriptor. So today we're going to look a little bit into how QVScriptor can help an organization to migrate their QVW, so their ClickView applications, into QVDs and QVX, and then how they can of course reuse those QVW, QVX files in a self-service type environment. So we'll start off with a presentation just to get some new users up to speed in how this generally works in a ClickView environment. So when you start with ClickView, normally there's a couple of users. You would create your first ClickView applications, your QVWs, and generally they would read directly from your sources. So you would have some sources over here, and then you would have some applications over here, and you can see that one application might read from 2 sources or 3 sources or whatever the case might be, and then you have your users over here that might access different applications. With the ClickView expand methodology, this quickly turns into an environment where you have lots of QVWs, and they all reading from the different sources. Multiple reports taking the same data then from different systems, and this ends up putting a lot of strain onto those systems. So if you look that you have multiple applications running, and each application is calling to one system multiple times during the day, as it might be, or once a day. So you might end up with something like 300 different reports just hitting your production servers all the time. Of course, this would work good in a ClickView server environment, where ClickView server would just then reload the applications, but this does not take away the strain that it puts on a production environment. So the natural path would be to implement a QVD or QVX layer, so that you have less load on the production environment. So you can also break those, have multiple QVD layers, so that you have consolidated area specific, like HR QVDs, finance, CRM type QVDs running, that are pulling different information from those separate systems. And of course, I said you can run these in multiple tiers as well. So you have your raw, transformed, and denormalized type QVD structures running. This works much better, because what happens is that a QVD would generally only load from one source. So what's happening is that your applications are actually loading multiple applications are loading from the data within a QVD. The load is optimized for ClickView, so it loads much quicker into ClickView, but it takes all that strain off your production environment. As you already know, we support the self-service IT and BI users, where they can use Scriptor to connect to their sources, standardize, control, and govern their data, which they then deploy through their environment, utilizing Scriptor as well. So having a central repository for all the QVWs, QVDs, and their QVD generators. And what we aim at is that we support this kind of self-service environment, where IT can deploy those QVDs for a business user, who can then pick up the QVDs, also incorporate some of their own source data, and generate their own QVWs utilizing Scriptor, which they then deploy to their own business users. So if you look at managed deployments, the idea with the QVDs is that you will have your base QVDs, which are basically generating raw data as the data is within the system, and then of course you can use Scriptor to transform that data that are in the QVDs, and you can then expose them to the business, or use them within your data schema for your various applications. So a standard disclaimer applies to this demo. So let's go over to the demo portion. So we are in the default project, which is the demo project of QVScriptor. And as you can see here, I already have a data schema that has been developed for me. And some of you might know that when the icon has a cog on it, it means that this table coming from a database is also a QVD generator, which means that there will be a QVD file generated by this QVW. So if I look at the edit script and my resulting tables here, I can see it's very easy to set up different tables to become generators. It's just ticking the boxes and the application will do it automatically for you. So here you can see my orders, my order details, products and customers. Those are the ones that are QVD generators. And when I go to my QVD generator apps, here I can see all those generators that will generate these QVDs for me. I can see that I have already generated some QVDs for those various generators. So I have some QVDs already available that I can use. So what we'll do is to go, we have created a new folder calling it CRM, and then we have created the CRM demo schema. You can see there are no scripts and there are no files yet within the schema. So there are two ways that we can support a development user. They can either use the existing scripts that they have for generators. So if I look under my generators here, I have customers. So what I can do in my CRM demo project, I can use that QVD generator script and generate an application from that, or I can use customers and then orders, for instance. Those are two generators, and when I generate an application from them, there's my application schema. So I'll generate an application. One application script has been refreshed. If I go to my application and I find the file, I can pick up my customer app. And when I look at my script, you can see that even though I'm using a generator load, it's going to load from the subsequent QVD file. So customers QVD and the orders QVD. So that's one way that I can, instead of generating an application that will read from a source, I can generate an application that will read directly from a QVD. So that is the one way of doing it. So we'll just check that one in, it's fine. But the better way of doing it, if we go back to the data schema and I just remove these generators from my data schema, what we have now is under your tables section, we have the QVD QVX tab, which will by default show me all the available QVDs, QVX files that I have within my whole repository. So I can see here from the QVDs that have been generated in my demo app, I have some QVDs available. So what I can do is directly, as a self-service user, I can come and directly start generating my own schema utilizing the QVDs that are available. So I can bring in order details, I can bring in my products, and then maybe a calendar so that I know what date different products or orders came through. So you can see it's automatically joined the QVD fields for me as well. So some development user has defined what I can see and what data I can use within this QVD, and what Scriptor has done is it's gone and created the joins automatically for me. So what I can do now is to create a ClickView application from that, and because we are in the CRM, I can create a CRM application just using the QVDs. I can generate that application, And when I come to the generated files, I can see there's my application and that's already been checked out. So if I find that file, you can see it's automatically put it into my CRM project folder, which is behind my access point. So I can now point QVD server to go and reload that application for me. Or it will be scheduled to reload in any event when the QVDs have been updated. So if I open that application and I now look at my script that has been generated by QVScriptor, you can see here QVScriptor will tell it to load the different fields and the data from that customer QVD directly. The same with orders, same with order details, product, and calendar. So what I can do is reload my data, and then what I can do is start creating some views using the QlikView client. So we can do customer ID, order ID, product ID, calendar date as an example. And there I have my data coming through. And now I can create some bars and charts on this, and you can see it's supporting the normal QlikView functionality. So I can save my application now. So I'm happy with the view, I'm happy with the data. Close my application, and what I can do in Scriptor now is check my application into the repository. You can see that I now have a target version because I've checked it into the repository. So what I can do now is deploy it to a target, so we can put it to the production environment and deploy that application. And there it is. So you can see here the deployment version. This application is now also in my production environment. So when I come to my production environment and I look at my applications, there is my application. It's deployed over there, which means it's writable, so QV server can go and reload that application, and it will reload directly from those QVDs. So I hope you enjoyed the demo. I trust this is useful for you, and I look forward to working with you in the future.